and salutations, it's me, Salty. Welcome back to 2 Cents Toys, and today we're going over the Motu Origins Manny faces. I actually had this ordered and delivered before I moved, but I finally found him. He was inside of a small box inside of one of the bigger boxes, which is probably why I didn't see him initially, but I do remember people going nuts online because not all these were shipped out of the factory with the same face showing, so people were buying like 3 or 4 on card just because they wanted the robot, human, and monster face showing, which I think is a little extreme, but you do you, boo-boo, you do you. This came from Amazon originally. It was $14.99 or whatever it was. This was months ago by the time I got it, so who knows. We get the same kind of card back we usually get with the new for 20, which is a crushed corner and the retro play and all that. Need to fix this real quick. There we go. Back of the card has him and his few gimmicks, and then it looks like he's fighting Skeletor up here, which I remember this from the 2000X series, which I recently rewatched within the last year, that he was kind of an actor, I guess, but we get his whole gimmick down here. Everyone else who's available, which Scareglow, as of this recording, should be on his way if he hasn't been delivered already. All that out of the way, I'm going to cut him off the bubble. We'll look at his comic book that we see with Trapjaw and Orko. We'll go over his articulation, stand him next to a couple of things, and we'll call it a day. So here's the comic book, Double Trouble, which is in the Orko video and the Trapjaw video as well. Quick flip through. We get Orko, Manny Faces, Scareglow, and Trapjaw all on the first page. Heavy utilization of the Wave 2 characters, which makes sense, and there they are again on the back. Then we have Manny Faces' little blaster here, is cast in orange, only accessory that he comes with, which, if I'm not mistaken, at some point he came with like a bunch of weapons, I think, in the vintage line with like an axe, a sword, and all that. I've, been doing some little bit of research on Motu, just trying to catch up so I don't sound like so much of an idiot when it comes to this stuff, but I seem to have a memory of seeing that at some point. Maybe in the future we'll get a weapons pack in this line or something. And it'll go in the hand, but I had to fight it. And you can see the slight curvature there to the handle. It'll go in there, I just really had to fight with it, so just bear that in mind. Also, you're at the mercy of his thumb, so that's all the further that it'll point straight, like it won't go straight in the hand just because that thumb gets in the way. So just something to think about. It's also a very rubbery kind of handle, which I guess is to avoid breaking at some point, but I find it kind of difficult to work with because of that. That leaves us with Manny Faces, so I'll show you the close-ups of the faces now. That's the robot face that was inside the package. There's the monster face, and there's the human face. I feel like the robot face isn't so bad. It kind of lacks a little bit of painted detail. Like you lose some of the depth here on like the lines on the cheeks and all that. But I think the monster face suffers the most because there's like fangs sculpted in the nostrils, all these lines. But just because they're doing such a, I guess, a smooth paint or something, we lose a lot of that. Otherwise, these are all the kind of sculpted details. We saw these legs with Roboto and with Trapjaw. More reuse of these legs. It looks like, I don't know if we're going to see any more, but there's at least 3 instances of these legs being used, in the arms, and there's his chest and all that. Let's go ahead and go over articulation. You already saw the spinning faces, if you want to count that. This kind of like locks in place a little bit, so, I push down and spin the faces, so, because when it pops up, it doesn't spin as easily, but because of that, you can rotate the head now, so that's nice to see. So he does look side to side. Whether this comes off or not, I don't know, because I did the review on the Manny Faces of the New Day, or new whatever it was called. So on that one, you were able to pop this whole thing off, but I gave this a slight little tug and it didn't come out. Shoulder can spin 360 with no problem. Comes up at a 90. Single joint in the elbow comes up that far. Elbow swivel, wrist pivot, though not very much, just because it kind of has thick wrists. Swivel in the waist. Kicks forward that far because his thigh pads kind of crash into his crotch there. Kicks back. Kicks out to almost a clean 90. Single joint in the knee comes up that far. Knee swivel. Boot swivel. And just like Trapjaw and Roboto, the ankle hardly goes back, barely goes forward, and just a tiny modicum of rocker. Mine also suffers from a very loose knee. That's probably just mine though. Here he is next to Roboto from the Origins line, since they have the same legs, and next to a vintage He-Man. And here he is on Panther, which I know some of you will think is blasphemy, but he was within arm's reach, so that's what I grabbed. And without taking his boots off, there he is in the Roton. You can see that the butt sticks out just a little far, so because that's, wedging the legs together, that's as far as they'll come up. So taking off the boots, really helps get them in there. And that's really all I got for you. So here's Manny Faces giving Skeletor what for by stopping the Roton and trying to flip it over. I didn't know what else to do with him, really. I didn't really know who Manny Faces was growing up. That's not a figure I recognized from my childhood. I was familiar with what he looked like the character. I was familiar with the aesthetics of him, just seeing him at probably yard sales and flea markets and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got into my late teens, my early 20s, I started collecting vintage. Then, I learned who he was then. But I don't have the same kind of connection to him that I do, say, Zodak, for example. I am glad to have him, though. I like the character now as an adult and all that. Anyway, you let me know what you think down below. I know the colors are way off. All the Manny Faces that I see is more of an orange instead of a yellow. So I know the colors are way off. Did you like Manny Faces as a kid? Was he your favorite? What drew you to him if that's the case? I know that if he'd been a contemporary to my childhood, it would have been 3 action figures in one kind of deal for me. Probably, but I probably would have kept it on the monster face anyway. But anyway, if it's your first time on the channel today and you like what you saw, then all that I ask is that you click like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It's a great way to help me out, and I very much appreciate it when you do. And I do thank you for stopping by today. So, until next time, I'm Salty, signing off.